Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the head football coach at, of course, Saginaw Hertiage High School. That, of course, is Justin Thelen. How's it going, bud?
It's great. I appreciate you having me on, Casey. It's been an awesome summer.
Yeah, it's. I know that the summer, and I know 7-on-7s is underway. Really, when the mandated off period is over, this is usually the time where things kind of start to get rolling before they really start to get going in a few weeks' time in August. But overall, I know that you have a pretty good team coming back. A lot of guys that had a lot of production last year. What's the outlook heading in? What have the first few weeks been like?
We're really excited. We feel like it's been a great summer, like you alluded to. We have a lot of production from last year's team that's back for this year. That obviously doesn't guarantee success. You've got to relay the foundation every summer. Make sure that you're working hard, staying together, and build on what needs to be built upon from last year. I really like our group that is back. We feel like it's been a pretty good summer. We've had a few 7-on-7s. We were up in Traverse City last week, for a team camp. So we were able to get some 7-on-7 reps, some 11v11 reps with Traverse City Central, Whitehall, and Petoskey up there. And that was really good for us to just get back and get it filmed and watch through that film with the guys and hopefully become more and more week one ready as the summer goes on. It feels like it's been a fast summer. We wrapped school up on June 1st and we're able to get going after the following Monday after Memorial Day. So, we've had 5 of our 7 summer weeks in at this point. Feels like it's flown, but, as the summer goes, that means that we're getting closer and closer to football season, which is exciting.
For sure. Okay, so I know if you follow Saginaw Hertiage football, you know a lot of names that are going to be back on this team, but for people that might not know, some of the returnees talk about some of the people that are coming back.
Yeah, so we return a first-team All-State wide receiver in Braylon Isom. Braylon had over 1,400 receiving yards last year, 20 touchdowns. Is committed to Miami, Ohio. We expect big things. This will be his 4th year on varsity. He's a great kid. He's continually developing as a leader, and obviously he's as dynamic of a threat on the outside as there is, I think, in the whole state. He's an equalizer for us in a lot of ways, just because as such a dynamic weapon, you've really got to decide on defense whether you're going to cover him one-on-one or roll a safety over the top. And in that way, he can create numbers for us elsewhere on the field. We talk all the time about how it starts on the inside with the run game. If we can't run the ball, nothing else really matters. And, we ran the ball for 9 yards a carry last year. We were really successful in that phase of the game. And because of that, we're able to create space for Braylon and some of these other guys on the outside. So Braylon, our quarterback from last year, Ethan Mason is back. He had a huge year for us as well. Ty Robertson, Zion Riley, Tommy Churchill, Julian Cuellar, a number of guys that we hope to be back and contributing in a high capacity. A couple guys up front that are returning on the offensive line, and Ethan Kratz and Josh Walker that we feel like should be really good. Wyatt Von Dett at linebacker. I know I'm dropping a lot of names, but very, very excited about the group as a whole. Like we've referenced a couple times here, a lot of guys who have played a ton of football for us and have to take the next step. We went 7-3 last year, and we had a successful year and in a number of ways, but we do feel like we know we have to take that next step. There's nothing of complacency within the program right now.
Yeah. So going into this year, you talked about the year that you had and as I said, a lot of those guys are back, getting off to, really the start that you have. And this has been a really a building year, and probably one of the best years that this program has seen in really over a decade. What was it like to see the progression that this program has had since you got here?
That's a great question. We've seen pretty linear progress from year to year. I'll be heading into year 4 this year, but we felt like last year we really saw a mindset shift within the kids and with the program. They transitioned from hoping for success and doing the work that should lead to success, but there being a little bit of indecision to expecting success. We play in one of the most competitive leagues in the state, and we compete against the likes of Grand Blanc, Davison, Lapeer. We cross over with Midland Dow. This year we open up with Mount Pleasant in a non-league game. we felt like last year the transition from hoping for success to expecting success became pretty evident within the guys. And now as a program, we're in a place where in June and July, you're doing the things that will lead to success and perfecting that entire process. And again, just expecting success with every single day. I think the guys have been quite intentional this summer. They believe in what we do, believe in our process. And because it's been proven, we've seen it work, but that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed for the 2023 season. There's so much that needs to be done every single day between now and August 24th to be ready to open up at the highest of levels. And when you play a program like Mount Pleasant week 1, we've already referenced it. An A- doesn't get it done against those guys. You have to be perfect. We talk all the time. Our standard is perfection. Never going to reach it. Always going to chase it. Our guys embrace that. But we do feel like as a team, as a program, within the walls of the program, these guys expect success now.
For sure. So I know that I know August 7th is not too far away. Before the season, I'll get into the schedule. We'll kind of preview the whole schedule in just a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, we just did, but of course, you have a scrimmage coming up with Northville. Of course, I know your good buddy Brent Luplo, and of course, very popular guest on my show. Talk about just going over there, and this is his first year as a head coach. I know you guys know each other from college, but what's it like to see him as a head coach of a program?
Man, I couldn't be more excited for him. He's one of my best friends in the world. We stood up in each other's weddings, and I got to know him both of our first days at Elma College back in the fall of 2012, and since then we've been really close. He's a guy who honestly, he got the job back in February or March, I can't remember, early spring, late winter, and he's such a creative thinker. We've always bounced football ideas off of each other, but now that he's the CEO of his own program, he's the head coach of his own program. He does a great job in coming up with creative ideas, to maximize what he has within the program. And it's really nice now to have one of our other really close friends who's a head coach down in the Jackson area. We're all really living in each other's shoes and experiencing what each other is experiencing as young head coaches in our late 20s. And so, from the perspective of Brent, I couldn't be more excited for him. I know that he's going to do great things at Northville, and they should be really excited. I think they got a steal in one of the best young up-and-coming coaches in the state. And while I'm obviously biased, I know that he's going to prove that really quickly over there.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about the schedule just a second. Kind of go through it. Of course, you could mention Mount starting week 1.
Yeah, it's one of the best programs in the state. I have an incredible amount of respect for Coach McIntyre over there. They'll never have a down year as long as he's there. He's just they're so incredibly disciplined. They play their brand of football. You talk about one of the most important things in developing a program is ensuring that you have an identity. They have such an established, forceful identity on both sides of the ball. They're really hard to beat, and you see that with his continued success. So we know we'll have our hands full right away week 1. It's a measuring stick type of game for us in a lot of ways. That had been, a league game for so long. And then with the Traverse City schools coming down in 22, that pushed us to the south end of the valley with Davison, Grand Blanc, Lapeer, Carmen, and Saginaw United. So my first 2 years at Hertiage, we had played Mount Pleasant as a league game. We both had week 1 openings in 23, and we're able to schedule what I think will be one of the biggest games in the area in the state. Week 1, really excited for that challenge, for that opportunity, and our guys know and understand that you don't beat Mount Pleasant playing B+, A- ball. You have to play your best game to have a chance to beat a program of that caliber. And so, obviously, a ton of respect for those guys, and looking really forward to the opportunity to compete against them week 1.
Yeah, and of course, I'll just go through the schedule really quick. Lakeland week 2 on the road, and then Grand Blanc on the 8th. Yeah. So that'll be fun. And then you're home again, week 4 against Davison. And then week 5, you will be at Lapeer. Always a fun battle with, I know Mike Smith's always going to bring a good solid team over there against Lapeer. Week 6 will be home against Flint Carmen Ainsworth. And then you guys go on the road week 7 against Midland Dow. Week 8, home again against Flint Powers Catholic. And then you'll close out the season at home against Saginaw Arthur Hill. So pretty good schedule. And what do you feel like? I know we're a few weeks away from official practices beginning, but what do you feel like you need to see out of this team out of the game when
We
week one?
have to get better. No doubt about it. We have to get better every single day and just take things one game at a time. It's such a good league. There are no breaks in the Valley, and obviously you've got teams and programs on that schedule who are really strong, really strong. And so we feel good about the schedule in terms of it continually preparing us and developing us throughout the season. But it's also one where you just can't afford to play. I've already referenced it, B+, A- football. You've got to be as sharp as you can be week in and week out and continually get better and perfect that process and, learn and grow in terms of your own understanding of who you are as a team and how other teams are going to scout you, how they're going to attack you, and how you can get better on your own. So we're really excited. Like I already talked about the Mount Pleasant game week 1. Lakeland is a team who, from what I've seen, incredibly well coached, disciplined, a bunch of hard-nosed football players. Really impressed with them from what I've seen. And then Grand Blanc Davis and Lapeer right in a row. We're very familiar with them. We had a shootout with Carmen Ainsworth. Coach Peterson up at Dow does an awesome job. And then we finished with Powers and United, who again, a ton of tradition at Flint Powers, and Coach Wellman will do a great job over there. And then a lot of talent over at Saginaw United week 9. So, like I said, for us, it's keeping the blinders on, continuing to prepare here in the middle of July to get better day by day, week by week, and continually prepare us for week 1.
All right. Justin, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck this season. And we will definitely be having you on again, once again. We'll probably check in midway through the year.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. I appreciate you having me on. Thankful for what you do in promoting the game in the state of Michigan.
Absolutely.